a world where quality business information is needed, we bring you On the Mic with Mike, the leading social enterprise business show in RVA. Join Mike King, the partnership guru, as he delivers game changers in Metro RVA. On the Mic with Mike showcases how business can help make society better. He discusses tech, culture, innovation, best business practices, and highlighting area nonprofits. Join Mike Monday through Friday, because it is the place where the best and brightest come to chat.
Hello from Washington, President JB here. Whenever Jill and I leave in our car, we tune into our guy, Mike King Biz, on ESPN Written.
I enjoy listening to On the Mic with Mike every day. That's what I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, On the Mic with Mike King back with a boatload of shenanigans here. This is part of the Mike King Biz Media Network, which is ESPN Rich 106.1. International Business Coach Radio, as well as the Hounds of Business. You can follow me on social platforms, Mike King Biz, as well as On the Mic with Mike. This is a business program, but everybody knows, who knows, I don't do sports, even though we are on ESPN. People know I'm a political junkie. Yes, I am. And I did come from conservative radio. So my friends over there on that side, God bless you. Thank you for supporting me. Alrighty, but we have a candidate who's come in with a phenomenal story, and we just want to share the message. Madam, tell folks who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. So I'm Leslie Mehta, and I am the Democratic nominee for Congress in Virginia's 1st District. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more detail about what led me there, but...
Oh, yeah, we're going to...
Let's talk about it.
We're going to ask the hard-hitting questions here. I tell you, I'm not, Gail King or Anderson Cooper. No hard-hitting questions. Okay, 1st District, where is that located? Located?
So it is, it's changed. So as of 22... it is Westmoreland County up in the Northern Neck, down to Williamsburg, and it also includes the western parts of Henrico and Chesterfield. Those two counties now make up 45% of this new district.
So you're reaching people, different areas, really different areas, with different issues, concerns, likes and desires, and you have to be able to communicate with them and tell your story.
Well, I think some of it is, quite honestly, that the issues are really the same in a lot of ways, but the way they present themselves are different. So for me, I grew up in a small rural town in North Carolina, a town of 800 people. And so,
800?
800.
Can I ask you, whenever you come from okay, so if somebody were to say, what's the name of the town?
The name of the town is Woodland.
Woodland.
Literally woodland.
Woodland. Okay.
Yes.
So nobody knows outside of those 800 people and a couple others where Woodland is. So if I said to you, where are you from? What's the big city reference?
So I reference usually Roanoke Rapids, which is off of 95.
Okay.
So people will usually see it going down 95. Okay. But my small town does not even have a stoplight. There's one of the blinking lights, but not a stoplight.
Oh,
that's how small my town is.
So you say to somebody, Roanoke Rapids, and they say, but then you have to say, I'm not from there, I am from. Okay,
yes.
So when people say to me, where are you from? I say, I am from Philadelphia. You're like, oh, great, yeah, me too. Well, I'm not from Philly, but do you know where Lansdale is? And I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, you're from Lansdale? No, I'm from the little town right before that, a town called North Wales. So, because if I said to somebody, North Wales, Pennsylvania, outside of the few people who were there, no one knew. And we do have a stoplight.
I'm
old,
good.
Madam.
Okay.
I am old, and we had a stoplight for a very long time.
Okay.
So,
you beat me on that one.
I know. And so we had a really big high school, but it took a lot of towns to get a big school. So there were kids, and you ever notice, like, no matter where you're from, you're never a hick. It's always the kids who live that next little town further past.
Oh, exactly. Right.
Man, those guys out there, I could never live out there because they live in the boonies.
I understand because small little town. And so when I talk about the rural areas, I can relate to that. I understand.
When you're in the Northern Neck, you can talk about, you understand their issues.
Exactly. And then there's the city. I've lived in, bigger cities before, and city of Williamsburg is what I was referencing here. And then I live in the suburbs now, which are the Chesterfield and Henrico. I live in Chesterfield County. So there's a variety of issues, but I understand all of those kinds of things. In the rural areas, we talk about, just like other places, investing in public school education. But the thing about it is that there are different, even though the subject matter is the same, the issues might be different. And that's okay. People in different parts of the district might have, for instance, in the rural counties, investing in public school education might mean something starkly different than investing in public school education in Williamsburg. The funding, investing from the federal government is the same, but the local school systems might do different things with the resources that they're given.
Okay, so when you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So there are a couple of things. I did think about law, which is what I ultimately did, but I also thought about being an actress. But I have a face for radio, so.
So you have a flair for the dramatic? You do?
I would think that some people might say that a little bit, just a little bit.
So
sometimes.
What kind of lawyer are you?
So I started out as a general kind of business litigation, representing big companies on a lot of different issues. But I kind of wanted to go back to my Howard Law roots. I was at UNC Chapel Hill undergrad, and then I went to Howard Law, steeped in civil rights.
Yes.
And
you guys gave us Thurgood Marshall at Lincoln.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
And that's why the legacy, that heavy legacy, is why I wanted to go. And it did not disappoint. I mean, there are people doing all sorts of different things now with their careers, but one of the running themes is giving back to the community in some way. And that's really what I was trying to get back to in a lot of ways in my professional life. There are some people who are doing different things in their professional life, but not, but in terms of advocacy or reaching out or connecting, they might be doing it personally. And that's part of the story of, how it got me to do this, really.
So on the mic, Mike Leslie is here with us. So this is a business program. People do know that our friends on the left and the right, folks come in here and tell their story. So, and I always talk to them about what is the draw to public service. When did you start getting that, and is this the first time you ever run?
Yes, first run. Yep.
What was it, that moment, that light bulb moment that said, I got to get off the sidelines and jump into this?
Well, there were a few moments, actually. So I was wanting to do more of the civil rights and constitutional law. And so I worked at a civil rights firm, which led me to be the legal director of the ACLU of Virginia and advocating on behalf
That's
of
how
everybody.
I know you.
Yes.
Remember I was hitting on you saying, hey, would you like to come on my program? That was years ago.
Oh, my goodness. But we just weren't able to.
We were not, and now
that's
here.
why I knew. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I knew of you, even though we hadn't connected.
Because I always wondered, the whole ACLU thing.
Yeah,
I'm from Philadelphia, and we kind of think of the ACLU on how we view unions. You're from Pittsburgh. We get the union thing. Whatever people think about it now, the concept of unions is to me very important. So you wanted to do that kind of law.
And advocate for people. And one of the things that really attracted me to the ACLU is that often you're fighting for rights of people and you have no idea what their backgrounds are. And it doesn't matter. That's the thing. They could be, Democrats, they could be Republicans, they could be independents, they could be, all sorts of things, all sorts of backgrounds. It doesn't matter. What you're doing is fighting for them, their rights to be able to do and say what they want to do, even if you disagree with the underlying things. And so that's what attracted me to that. But as I was working at the ACLU, I was a couple of years in, and my oldest daughter, Brooke, got diagnosed with a rare disorder called Rett syndrome. And we had no idea what it was, but we knew that she had been regressing, and that's typical of a lot of folks with Rett syndrome. And it ultimately renders most people incapable of walking, talking, or having purposeful use of their hands.
At what age does that start happening?
Around 2 years old. So they're developing typically for the first couple of years, and then you start noticing that they're not doing the things that they should be doing at 2. There's actually one gene, MECP2, that is the root cause of all of this. They just don't have enough of it in layman's terms, which is all I can tell you. I'm not a scientist.
but you're a mom.
Yes, I'm a
mom.
And
you understand the impact of what that means.
Exactly. And so when we found that, when we got that diagnosis, what ended up happening was we were fighting for things like Medicaid. Even with that huge diagnosis, she was denied twice for Medicaid before she was ultimately approved. And Medicaid opens up a whole world of resources that you don't have through just, your private insurance. You'd have to pay these exorbitant amounts of money to be able to get things like, the specialized chair or specialized stroller, or she had an eye gaze device where you can look at pictures and it would say the words for her.
So here, you're a person, a family of means. You're an attorney.
And my husband is too. He went to law school.
So here you guys are, and you're fighting a system. You can imagine what happens when you don't come from that.
That is what sparked.
See,
me.
That's why we're here.
It was because that is the thing. I was thinking I had to go through all of the channels that I knew. I started reaching out to folks, but I knew to reach out to folks and go to Democrats, Republicans, whomever, and just start talking about rare disease and the impact that not being approved for Medicaid at first had on me. She was essentially kicked out of one of her daycares because they said they didn't have the resources to be able to help her. And so I'm trying to fight for her education. We're trying to both be able to work. Ultimately, I had to leave the ACLU because this was during kind of a really heightened time politically. This was 2017 when we got our diagnosis, and there were, there are a lot of things going on, and you can't just kind of be the legal director of the ACLU of Virginia. You have to be wholeheartedly in it. My heart is still definitely with the organization, but as a mom, I knew I needed to do something different.
On the Mike Wayne Leslie Show, how can people find you out there and help with your campaign?
Absolutely. So we are encouraging folks to connect with us on our website, lesliemehta.com, LESLIEMEHTA. And there are lots of ways. Folks have been coming out and knocking doors. People have been connecting with us by writing postcards. And of course, we need resources to be able to do all of these things. Our TV ads are not cheap.
No, they ain't cheap.
Not at all. And
I saw one recently.
Digital. Yes. Oh, you did. Yes.
That.
And so it's important to be able to do that. Look, I know that my opponent has a lot more name recognition than I do. And in order to be able to get out and talk about the things that are important to us and talk about why it is necessary to get out in this moment and why it is a viable campaign that can be flipped, we have to be able to reach and connect with people. That includes TV. That includes digital program. It includes being able to have the folks to get out and knock the doors. All of those kinds of things. And in order to do that, we have to have the money to do it. So if you're listening and interested, please do go to lesliemehta.com to help support.
Leslie Mehta is here, attorney, civil rights activist, and a mom. So a friend of mine, her son, he developed a case of dwarfism, and all of a sudden, she said all of the ideas that we had prior go out the window.
Absolutely.
Because now it's a whole new ballgame, and we have to start doing some. So shout out to my friend Sylvia.
Hi, this is Sylvia Farbstein, and I am on the air with Mike King. He is widening the lens of humanity, and I am so happy to be a part of his journey.
Oh.
Hi, Sylvia.
Children's Hospital Foundation,
right.
the Cameron K. Gallagher Foundation, Jacob's Chance, Trinity
Over
Hospital,
40,000 minutes of broadcast time donated.
Beyond Boundaries, the Virginia Down Syndrome Association,
Nonprofits telling their story, maximizing their impact.
Richmond Region Tourism, the Chesterfield Chamber of
Creating
Commerce,
partnerships that make a difference.
RICO Office of Economic Development,
Mike King Biz, the social enterprise brand.
Girls for Change,
On a mission. Mike King Biz.
All right, madam, we're going to get down to the hardcore portion of the program. We're talking politics.
Yes.
So you're sitting at home and you decide, I'm going to run for office.
Yeah.
What was the moment and that you told husband, friend, family, I'm going to run for politics? Man, this thing is easy. They're all so nice to each other. They're out there, opponents saying nice things. Yeah, nobody's going to say anything mean and nasty.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Okay. What was that process? Because I always ask people who come in here who put their hat in the ring.
Yeah. So the thing is, I had been doing work with folks like Abigail Spanberger and others on rare disease because of my daughter. And I got Democrats and Republicans to sign on. And I was very proud to have bipartisan support. Absolutely. I love that. And everybody did except the incumbent in this seat. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I kept going. And when my daughter passed away from Rhett in 2021, I knew that I wanted to continue on doing some of the things that I'd been doing before. So that included doing some of the work in the constitutional law space that I had been doing previously, but also expanding it to some of these new areas, like you were mentioning about Sylvia, and just things that are happening that in a way that, opened my mind to a lot of different kinds of things about Medicaid challenges and Medicare challenges and healthcare in general and all of this stuff. And so I knew that I was wanting to do more, but I knew that also my experience had been primarily through, the federal level, the U.S. Constitution, and lobbying on a federal level for rare disease. So one of the people I reached out to was Abigail Spanberger. By that time, I had been working with her for years on rare disease legislation. And I said, this is kind of where I have been doing a lot of work. But the thing is, I've never run for office before. And she says, neither had I.
I know.
You just have to get out there and make
your case. That was a shocker.
Yes.
That was a shocker.
Oh, yes. But the thing is, it's like you get out there, you make your case, you talk to the people. Going back to what you were saying about family, the thing about it is that politics can be incredibly brutal.
It can be.
My whole thing is I want to bring people together and be the adult in the room, but that doesn't mean everyone around you will be the adult in the room, right? And so I knew that if I were to do this, I had to have a certain level of just strength, really. And so the way that I thought about it was, and as I discussed it with my husband, was I've buried my 5-year-old daughter. If I can do that,
what can be?
I can do anything.
Yeah, that is true. So I know the Gallaghers with the CKG Foundation, and they're like, when you get to that point and you have to do something hard like that, it changes you forever. So the things now, you can walk into a room, whereas before it may have been uncomfortable. Now you're going, your whole mission for life has changed. If you know there's somebody out there going through what you went through, and you don't want, like I said, you guys are 2 attorneys going through this with the government.
Mm-hmm. The bureaucracy.
The people who don't have that background, and their crew doesn't look like yours, and you could pick up the phone, they're getting turned down, and they're devastated. They don't know what to do. They don't have a clue what to do.
And to this day, if someone says, I got turned down for Medicaid, what do I do? Even though this is a 24/7 kind of thing running for office, I pick up the phone and I call them and I try to direct them to the resources. I want to be the person that I really wanted myself, as I was going through that. And some people just don't know that you can talk to your legislators and ask them, really, even not even having an ask, which is what happened to me at first. I didn't even really have an ask, but you're a constituent. It is their job to listen to you and to listen to your concerns and the needs. And we know that there are lots of people who don't actually reach out to their constituents. So what happens is when one person reaches out, it really kind of is like 100 people or more reaching out on this particular issue, because there's so many other people who may be experiencing something similar, but they aren't actually reaching out.
That's what it is. So Leslie is here with us. And you know, when your daughter has a diagnosis like that, shout out to my friend Stephanie Becker over at Better Together. You know, she works with groups of parents. You know, they're the ones who help families with the rare diseases. You know, the other ones, you know, there's a group, there's a community for you. Sometimes parents have kids that get something that's a little bit out there, and you can feel that way. So shout out to them, also to good friends over at the Ronald McDonald House. Always, that's what we do here. That's what this social enterprise business show does, is we expose people to the possibility of who is out there. So congratulations on your campaign. Anything that I can do to help, just let me know. How many days are we away?
Oh my goodness, 25 days.
Okay, so ma'am, wait, you know, I'm a man who has some miles on me. I have, you know, I've been around for a bit. Every election, people always say, this is the most important election.
Yeah.
This one
really is.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, one of the things that has concerned me is that there are folks who are still trying to relitigate the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Including the incumbent in this district, in the 1st district. He denied voting for certifying the election results in Pennsylvania. You were talking about Pennsylvania. And it carries this kind of level of doubt. So when we're talking about making sure that folks get out to vote, making sure that people are aware of the issues, when there's a lot of misinformation and, quite frankly, disinformation about what has been going on in the past, it really kind of clouds everything for the current and for the possible future. And so that is one of the big things that is at stake. We don't know what would happen if there would be another Trump administration. I was at the ACLU of Virginia during the beginning of the President Trump administration. And I mean, one of the first things that I remember is the Muslim ban. It impacted, as the legal director, you know, we had to send folks to Dulles because there were people being denied entrance into the country, people who had families and jobs and just needed to get back to their homes. And yet there's this chaos. And I think sometimes people forget a little bit about how chaotic that time was.
Yes.
And we know that during that time, former President Trump did have some moderate Republicans in his camp. I don't think that that's the case anymore. In fact, we've had a lot of people connecting with us in our campaign, moderate Republicans, who are just tired of entertainer-in-chief, tired of, you know, these rumors of things that are just spewed out recklessly by people in positions of authority and power. And it is, we need to get back to common sense solutions. One of the things only other thing I'll say is that one of the reasons why it is important, has been resonating really with moderate Republicans, is that not only have I worked on the bipartisan legislation, I currently sit on Governor Youngkin's Rare Disease Council. His team reached out to me because of the work that I did on the federal level, and it was important to me to be able to connect in that way as well, because it's, you know, rare disease doesn't know party affiliation.
No, it does not.
And so it's important. And so when I talk about these issues, it's important to make sure that people know that I am willing and really seeking out opportunities to work across the aisle when that is possible.
Leslie Mehta on the mic with Mike. We're here. We'd like to thank you for coming on the program, ma'am. One last time, how can people find you out there to support you?
Absolutely. So it's lesliemehta.com, LESLIEMEHTA. We do have Facebook and I believe Instagram. I'm 47, so bear with me. But right. I think that's what we have. And so people can reach out and connect if they want to volunteer. You can find out more information on the website. And of course, if you want to donate to our cause, please do. You can find that information on the website too.
Oh yeah, you know, just shout out to a good friend Ray Cousins, who was out there.
Oh, I love right. She endorsed our campaign.
A friend of the program. So I always have the same folks come on here on both sides. It's like there's conversations that need to be had. Like you said, there needs to be an adult in the room. All the foolishness that's going on right now. We don't need that. So on the mic, Mike, we'll talk to you soon. Hey, make sure you take care of our sponsors and advertisers. As I always say, the microphone ain't free and my grandkids need stuff.
From Michael Mikes, come to Michael Mikes. Michael Mikes. My name is Isabella and you're listening to Mike King Biz. Hubby, that's my scam.
And my new walk-up song. I'm trying to get this to play when I walk in the house. So, but my wife ain't playing it.
I know.
I ain't ready, not a belt like me. I'm the last of my kind.
She says if I keep asking for that, I might be... On the mic, Mike, we got to go. Take care, folks.